Welcome back, guys. My name is Alex, and today we're going to talk about why we went to LA this past weekend. So some of you may or may not know, but I am a huge 21 Pilots fan, and for the same way that I am with them, Hannah, the other half of Snakebird Island, is with Jon Bellion. So because Jon Bellion hasn't released a personal album in 6 years, the fans have started to wonder if he is calling it quits or if he's going to be doing something new. So during those 6 years, he has produced several albums from multiple other artists, but rarely anything under the actual personal Jon Bellion name. A couple months ago in July, there was rumors of Jon Bellion coming back for a one-night-only event in Los Angeles. Because of how quiet of a producer he is, he actually didn't announce that he was doing the show. The Grammy Museum, the venue, actually announced that he was doing the show. So once that was announced, we knew that we absolutely had to get tickets no matter the cost. Fortunately for us, they actually weren't that expensive, but getting over to LA from Orlando can be kind of pricey. Because for us, it's not just going to the venue and then going back home for the night. We have to get the flights, the hotels, the rental cars. Thankfully, we were fortunate enough to get the tickets when we went to go ahead and buy them because we found out that the Grammy Museum is only a 200-person venue, a super small, intimate venue. So we knew this was going to be a really special show. After a couple weeks of organizing the flights, the hotels, and the rental car, we had everything ready for this past weekend. Well, it turns out the Tuesday before the concert, Jon Bellion decided that he was going to cancel the show without any notice aside from those 6 days prior to the concert. Thankfully, because it was the venue and the artist allowing the cancellation, everybody was able to get refunded. However, that still means that we have a trip to Los Angeles to something that is now canceled. After finding out that Jon Bellion canceled, we were both devastated because I wanted to see him for the first time and Hannah hadn't seen him in over 6 years, so she was definitely excited to see him. However, due to the cancellation, we had to change our plans. We were bummed, but we were able to make the most of it throughout the trip. Once we packed our bags and everything was ready to go, we were off on our way to Los Angeles for the weekend. So we left on Friday. Once we landed in LAX, we pretty much got the rental car and then immediately headed to San Diego, which is about a 2 to 2.5 hour drive, depending on how fast you're going, depending on LA traffic. Once we got to San Diego, we ended up going to a friend's house for dinner because we knew some people in the area. After dinner, we ended up going to Mothership, which is a bar in San Diego. I didn't get a lot of footage from there because one of my friends and her partner, we ended up meeting there and we just enjoyed our time together as well there. One of my friends is actually a manager in San Diego for a non-alcoholic bar, non-alcoholic collective, and it was cool just kind of getting to talk with them about non-alcoholic versus alcoholic drinks, as well as getting to see them because I haven't seen them in 5 or 6 years overall. So after that, we stayed in a hotel in San Diego. On Saturday, we pretty much woke up in San Diego and just had some coffee and just kind of explored the San Diego area. We just kind of walked around La Jolla and San Diego, went to a cave, saw sea lions and seals all across La Jolla, and just kind of got to explore that beach city overall. It was really cool just to kind of see everything, the mountains and the beach, and just kind of explore the area as a whole. We were recommended some restaurants to go to during that time. Unfortunately, we didn't get to all of them. However, one of the ones that we did get to was Blue Whale. It's a cafe bakery in the area. I had a fantastic chicken and waffles, and there was ube pancakes as well, and we had a great time. I highly recommend Blue Whale if you haven't been before. So on Saturday night, we were looking for something to do, and on Friday night at Mothership, one of my friends told me about the False Idol Tiki Bar inside San Diego. I completely forgot that False Idol was in San Diego, so when we knew about that and had time to go, we obviously had to go. So when we got there, we thought that we were the first ones in line, but once False Idol opened, because it is behind kind of another bar and restaurant, the people that were sitting at the bar and restaurant got up and actually got in line in front of us, which isn't that big of a deal because we didn't want to be the first ones in line anyways. We only stayed at False Idol for about an hour, but we had a great time there, and it was cool just to kind of see another tiki bar and see how those bartenders operated as a whole. As we go to tiki bars and as we travel around, we like to collect mugs, as you can tell, but one of the rules that we have is if we're getting a mug, we have to get the drink that the mug is served in. We stand pretty tight to that rule. However, at False Idol, there wasn't a lot of drinks that we could get that were served in particular mugs. However, we did see a volcano mug that they had just put up for sale. I asked the bartender if there was any particular drink that went in the volcano, and he said that he could make anything for me. However, I didn't want to have an additional drink because I was driving 2 hours back to Los Angeles that night. So we ended up getting the volcano. Here is the volcano mug that we got. It says False Idol right there. There it is again. There's the False Idol mug that you can see that we got. Once we closed our bill, the bartender was handing us all our stuff. He ended up actually handing us the mug inside of a giant false idol bag, which is a really cool, like, reusable bag that says false idol right there. A lot of the swag that was in the bag was actually given to us by John the bartender. We have obviously a bunch of swizzles, both short ones and long ones that say false idol on them, as well as some matches. These are really cool. Not only do they say false idol on the front, they also have really cool designs on the actual matchsticks themselves. I do recommend False Idol if you're looking for a tiki bar in the San Diego area, but be warned, there is no food at this tiki bar, so you'll have to either eat beforehand or eat after. There is a restaurant kind of attached to False Idol, but False Idol itself does not have any food. It is solely drinks. So once we finished with False Idol for the day, we ended up walking back to our car, which was actually next to the USS Midway Museum, which is really cool. We didn't go inside, but it looked really cool.
Hey everybody back home, I wish you could be with me here on the flight deck of the USS Midway, having a great time here in San Diego.
So once we got back to our car, we actually drove back to Glendale for the night, which is where our hotel was, so we could go to Knott's Berry Farm the next day. So Sunday rolls around and we're at Knott's Berry Farm that day. This was both of our first time at Knott's Berry Farm. We had told each other in the past, next time, we'll make it to Knott's Berry Farm. And this next time happened to be this time. To start out, I think we had a great time. We ended up doing all the big coasters multiple times at least if we wanted to. It is a rather small park, so you can get the whole park done in one day. Thankfully, we had the fast pass, the fast lane system that they call it.
Excuse me, what were the opinions?
You look across, the person's just like hanging there, and then you come down. One of the lands that they have at Knott's Berry Farm is Fiesta Village, and it has this ride, it's closed down right now, but it had this ride called Montezuma's Revenge. One of the cool things about Montezuma's Revenge and Fiesta Village is that it's a kind of a Mexican, Hispanic themed land. As we were walking around the land, we were looking at all the shops and everything. We obviously wanted to bring something back home as like a souvenir, whether it be a shirt or anything like that. We ended up landing on this ironic mug. So like I had just mentioned, when we buy tiki mugs, we're usually buying the mug that the drink comes in that we got, so that we can kind of like remember that was the drink. Well, as we were walking down Knott's Berry Farm through Fiesta Village, we found actually, ironically, this tiki mug. It says Montezuma's Revenge right there, picture of the coaster, Montezuma's Revenge, and Knott's actually down here. It is an all brown glazed mug. We passed by this mug probably 10 times all day, debating about whether or not we wanted it, about whether or not it counts in our mug collection because we actually didn't do the coaster. We decided that it does count because if the coaster was open, we would have done the coaster, but because it was closed due to refurb, we couldn't do it. However, we'll definitely have to do when it opens up again, but we do have the mug to kind of remember that, to go back to Knott's Berry Farm essentially and to do Montezuma's Revenge. So all day Sunday, we were at Knott's Berry Farm. We were doing all the coasters, doing all the rides, having a great time, eating a bunch of food, living the theme park lifestyle, basically. So Sunday night rolls around, and we're still at Knott's Berry Farm. We ended up doing all the coasters, all the rides that we were going to do. Unfortunately, Knott's Berry Farm didn't have a nighttime show, so there wasn't anything that we were really looking forward to at night. So we ended up actually just leaving about an hour before the park closed. So we ended up taking the shuttle back to the hotel and just kind of closing it out for the night at the hotel. So Monday rolls around and today is the day of the concert. Obviously, like I mentioned before, the concert was canceled, so we had to find something that could fill the time of the Monday blues. We ended up going to Wild Oak Cafe for breakfast and then doing an early morning hike to the Hollywood sign, getting a bunch of pictures there, struggling to get pictures together because we're really bad at taking selfies. Because it might be a good shot. We thought we were gonna have to hike more, but then we realized that you see the Hollywood sign no matter the perspective of the hike. And it's actually better for pictures to be farther away from the sign than it is to be closer to the sign. We actually didn't hike that far into the trail, but we still saw the Hollywood sign, so that counts. After the Hollywood sign, it was probably about 1 o'clock. We ended up going back to the hotel, took a nap for a little bit, and then we're on our way back out. So after our nap, we went to Porto's Bakery, which is a famous bakery inside Glendale. We knew we had to go to Porto's. We go to Porto's, we order our food, we eat the food. Everything was very good. It was so good, we actually ended up going back to Porto's again. Well, we actually didn't leave, but we went to Porto's again to get more food because we actually had a road trip through Bel Air.
I pulled up to the house about 7 or 8 and I yelled to the cabbie, "Yo, home, smell you later."
We unfortunately didn't see the Fresh Prince. However, we did see some pretty crazy wild houses inside Bel Air. So after Bel Air, Hannah wanted to go see the sunset on the beach. The closest beach to us was actually Venice Beach, and neither one of us had been there before. So we decided to go to Venice Beach for the night.
I feel like this is a beach every class might be sure, but
Yeah, probably.
we'll find out. That's how Jersey was. but I did
was
it
it?
anyways.
We walked around Venice Beach, saw the skate park, saw the Muscle Beach, saw everything, kind of the tourist stuff of Venice Beach. We ended up walking towards the water, getting some sunset pictures and sunset videos. We just kind of walked around and kind of toured Venice Beach, had a great time, saw the sunset, walked towards the water, kind of just enjoyed our time on the beach. Nothing really crazy was happening, just kind of like relaxed by the beach for the night. Venice Beach is really just truly a vibe. It's just a really fun place to hang out and people watch and have a great time. So out of the 3 times we've been to California, we've been to InNOut every single time, so we knew we had to continue this tradition. We found an InNOut close to our hotel, but when we got there, we found out that it was in the Glendale Galleria, and we said, absolutely not. We're not getting out, and we're not parking and getting out to go to InNOut. So we ended up finding this next InNOut. Well, this next InNOut, I don't really know where it was, to be honest, but I know that there was across the street was a light to get into InNOut. However, there was also people turning right to get into InNOut. So we waited about 10 minutes at this green light, people honking behind us because we weren't going anywhere. They decided to go around us. After that, we decided that we no longer wanted InNOut. We drove around for a bit looking for some places to eat. We did find this really cool, unique Californian restaurant. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but we ended up going to Jack in the Box. And let me tell you, I don't know what other people's thoughts are about Jack in the Box, but we had a great time. Don't know if I would recommend Jack in the Box. If you're looking for some fun little mini tacos, that's the place to get them. Overall, our experience in Los Angeles, San Diego, and La Jolla was a very fun time. We always have a great time no matter where we go, but this time was cool because we got to kind of unexpectedly visit new places that we weren't going to plan to go to before. Unfortunately, the concert was canceled and might get rescheduled in the next 6 years or so, but because of the cancellation, we were able to just enjoy Venice Beach and enjoy our time in Los Angeles. We were able to kind of just relax on that last day, and we needed it because we were taking naps and we were very, very tired by the end of the trip. So Tuesday morning rolls around and we end up going back to the LAX airport. You know, it's an airport, so I didn't want to take my camera on too much, but we just kind of hung out there for about 2 hours waiting for our flight to take off. We were a little scared because we had matches in our bags from False Idol, but there's actually a rule that you can take 1 matchbox per bag through TSA, so we ended up just kind of splitting the matchboxes throughout our bags, and everything was fine in that case. So after we landed back in Orlando, we got all our bags back, drove back to our house, and just collect all of our stuff that we got from the trip. Thankfully, our mugs were both safe and sound, and everything was a-okay when it came to coming back from the trip. That was actually our 3rd annual trip to Los Angeles. Ironically, we actually had a trip to Los Angeles already planned for this year, next month, but this one kind of came out of nowhere and we knew we had to go. But ironically, the whole point of us going was to go to this concert that got canceled. So now we kind of just hung out in Los Angeles the whole time, but we had a great time. Next time we go, we'll be doing something very cool. But yeah, so that was our trip to Los Angeles at the end of August. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you leave a comment down below expressing your likes or dislikes about this video. I hope to see you guys in the future, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. See you later. We're like going the wrong way.
This is funny. Okay, I'll change that. I don't like it that way. This is scarier. That's terrifying. It feels like we're gonna hit something.